Let's now talk about the guy who I frankly thought was the star of the show, right? At least it turned out that way. Paddy PImblett. This was a good win by him. This was a very good win by him. I had debated, and I think you did on Friday, like I'm not sure if I'm going to pick him. I'm not sure how much confidence. I think both of us in the end decided PImblett was the guy. He secures a second-round rear naked choke victory over Jordan Leavitt. You could maybe argue PImblett or Leavitt won the first round based on Leavitt not doing a lot of damage but having a lot of control. But let's ask the question this way, BC. What did Paddy PImblett prove on Saturday?
I think he continued to prove, coming off of the submission win in the last fight, something that I sort of speculated. Because, look, you and I were a little bit negative toward him when he launched on the scene. We saw and tasted and smelled much more hype than actual product. We saw the opening and vulnerabilities and danger signs. But something happened since then, Luke. 2 straight wins in which he was able to show a different side of him, more well-rounded side of him. But I think if you look specifically on this camp and this fight, he came in an elite, world-class, almost championship-level shape. So, Luke, I do think it was a little bit of sort of like negative fool's gold that we bid upon when he came and made this debut. Because he was talking such a big game, almost McGregor-like to a degree, and because he showed the vulnerabilities, we're like, oh, dude, he's going to get stopped when he finally gets in there. He might be something I speculated last week, a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? You know, he might be a lot better than he may have shown, you know, and some of that may be nerves, some of that may be he just got in, tried a little bit too hard to land the big thing and got, you know, beat up a little bit in the first fight, but got the comeback win. It seems to be part of his DNA to figure out how to come back after somebody takes an early advantage. That just may be who he is. But Luke, it took me, you know, the last week in progress to do it. But after this fight, I've come around. He's a lot better than I gave him credit for potentially being coming in. I'm really excited, given the potential of his marketing side, what he actually could be. I still don't know. We you know, there's still no way to know. It's incremental, right? And he's going to get probably a continued incremental push. I don't think you're going to see him, you know, against a top 10 guy tomorrow. But he's backing it up, Luke. And he's tough as shit. And if he can handle himself on the ground like he did the last 2 fights against higher level opponents to offset the magic that he brings to the striking game with his, you know, intention and power, yeah, he could actually live up to it and be a real thing, Luke. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as it looks right now, could he be Darren Till? You're damn right he could, Luke. He could be him. He could be on that level. He could get there. I don't know if he's going
to... How enviable position do you perceive?
Well, let me ask you this. Darren Till once fought for a title. He's still a celebrity in there. He still fights only elite guys for the most part. What I'm saying is I'm now in my own personal where is Paddy PImblett's ceiling, I'm pushing up the roof a little bit more. And he's showing me in the right sort of incremental step-ups that he may be pretty damn good, Luke. And I may not always be here for the shtick, and I get a lot of people DM me saying, BC, it ain't a shtick. This is what guys like him, where they're from, that's who they are. Okay, that's cool, right? Guys like from this factory town, that's who we are, all right? Pieces of shit. No. So, you know, that just may be who he is, but the shtick doesn't always win me over. But here's the key, Luke. The fighting is actually starting to win me over. Speak to that, Mr. Technical. Right, Luke? He's not that bad, dude. He's pretty damn good.
This was in some ways a tough matchup because you had another kind of tricky grappler. And in other ways, it was an advantageous matchup because 2 things. One, as we had noted, Jordan Leavitt doesn't typically bring that like physical intensity to the bout. He's much more of a, like he has that inverted triangle over Matt Sales that was he just kind of trickily applied. So he doesn't bring necessarily the same physical intensity, and he's not really much of a striking threat at this stage. And in fact, there were times where he was throwing and Paddy was kind of flat-footed. To me, the bigger questions about the striking defense of Paddy's game were not answered here at all. They weren't even really questioned one way or the other, but to just dismiss that because he got a nice grappling win, to me is very foolish. I would not do that until he really answers it against someone who can try to put it on him in that way. The questions linger. Number one. The second thing I'd say though is, I thought this was a very good win in the way that he finally got it, where he kind of had that half like choke applied from the side of a failed takedown attempt, is able to get his hook in, trap the arm, and then cinch the other arm on the other side, and then fully lock in the choke. That was very, very nice. Now, we've always known that Paddy has good back attacks. I talked about it on Friday. He's known for taking the back and has good back attacks. They're only getting better. That part of his grappling game is very good. Very, very good. This, again, that's a real nice win that he got. However, if we're being fair, the amount of control time that a guy who's not really in like a drive forward wrestler in the way that Jordan Leavitt is, you know, I didn't love that so much. He got 3.5 minutes of control time, and Paddy stuffed a bunch of takedowns in that first round. But Leavitt got 3 of them in the first round and some decent control time. It's like, dude, against a guy who's like a real good wrestler in this division, that's not a great sign per se, to be honest with you. Now, the flip side of that argument, BC, is, well, he endured it, he didn't get into too much trouble, and by the time that guy tried it in the second round, having gassed himself, he took his back and choked him out. Fair enough, dude. Again, he beat the very best opponent I think he's beaten in the UFC by a landslide, and maybe one of the better fighters in all of his career. It's a nice win. But I think people are making a little bit of a mistake to say the win was nice for some very identifiable reasons. Therefore, we can forget about all of the other lingering questions that didn't really go answered here in this contest by virtue of how nice the win is. I would caution strongly against that. That seems like a big mistake I don't think we should make.
Well, don't misinterpret my sudden turn of optimism and even slight favor to me saying that all the, check marks, all the I's and T's have been handed. No, but I had to be fair, Luke, upon his arrival, I had a pretty low expectation of who we can actually become. So maybe it's a course correction that a self course correction, and I think it is, but he's starting to win over in the cage, and that's where it's going to matter the most, Luke. Okay? And for
first of all, again, I want to say this. He survived all of the wrestling attempts. He never got into too big of trouble. And eventually, when that guy tried to keep doing it, he choked him out from there. Like, that's a very important thing. But you can't look the other way on some of the bigger striking questions, and you can't look the other way that, like, the takedown defense, not as ironclad as it needs to be. Here's the thing. If you really want Paddy to be able to contend, like, this is... Let me go back to this here very quickly, if I can, BC. So, this fight, as it took place, right? This was a lightweight contest. Ask me what Arman Tsarukyan and Mateusz Gamrot are going to do to Paddy PImblett, right? That's who we're talking about. And those guys, Mateusz Gamrot's inside the top 10. Arman Tsarukyan is not. Like, this is what I'm talking about. If you want him to be able to contend with those guys, there is a lot of development that has to happen before you can get there. His slickness on the back cannot be understated. He is very good in finding the back, attacking from the back, and finishing from there. He's legit. But I'm trying to tell you, look at all the other motherfuckers in front of him in this division. You need to see more than what you saw to give you confidence against the Tsarukyans, the Kutateladzis, the Gamrots of the world. I think that's pretty fair, is it?
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously the built-in inevitability is that he's too popular not to start matching him sooner than later against elite foes. But as long as they can stretch this out, giving him the ability against the right incremental opponents to stretch out his own game and add to it, maybe it's a longer play, whereas in the beginning I thought it was a short play. Let's throw this firecracker in the middle and let it self-combust, and we'll all enjoy it. Now, Luke, I think it's a little bit of a longer play, and although that rarely happens in UFC matchmaking, again, this might be the guy to do it, right? That market, he could be the face of it. And maybe with Aspinall's injury, where Aspinall had a much further ceiling than the 3 of them from the UK that keep showing up on these cards in terms of potential title opportunities, maybe him taking a step back with injury is gonna make the need for Paddy to show that he really is that good even more importantly, Luke. I mean, I saw the little exchange of him afterwards saying, man, my dream, I can't wait to have John Anik call my fight. How far away are we from that? I'm not necessarily talking about the level of step up in competition, more about the placement. How do you promote him moving forward, Luke?
I think you continue to give... Listen, they are matchmaking him appropriately. The first 2 guys, they wanted to see exactly what they had, the Kazula Vargas, and even forget the other guy who he fought. They were appropriate fights. They were a little bit overmatched, but they got his feet warm. This was a good test. Jordan Leavitt is a tricky grappler, and Paddy PImblett choked him out from the back in the second round. That's a nice win. That's a real nice win. All I'm pointing out is you need several more of those steps before you're at... Dude, at number... Listen to who 11 through 15 is in this division. Tony Ferguson, Conor McGregor, which, okay, I mean, I realize that, those fights are not imminent or anything. But You got Jalen Turner sitting at 14, Arman Tsarukyan at 10, Damir Ismagulov at 15. Dude, those guys are ahead of him, and they're ahead of him by a considerable distance. All I'm trying to ask people to do is, it is possible, and I think the right way to look at it is to appreciate this dude beat a very tricky grappler by taking that guy's best effort, letting him tire himself out, not really getting a whole lot with it, and then finishing him off in the second round. That's nice, dude. You can't take that from him. That's nice. That is not evidence that he is ready for the Tsarukyans, for the Ismagulovs of the world. There are a few more steps. To answer the question, I do think he'll be on pay-per-view cards. What I think they're going to do is probably put him on, like, main event of the prelims to start or something like that, right? Like somewhere where it's a ABC, exactly. Yeah. He's like perfect for that because listen, the fans love him. He is exciting. He's 3 fights in UFC, 3 finishes, right? Like this dude is out there giving you what they're asking him to do. There's no reason to not lean into that. But that is not the same thing as saying, oh, he's ready to fight Arman Tsarukyan. No, that's like not where we're at all. And I just want folks to understand, everyone develops at their own pace. Everyone develops in their own time. Give him the space to develop so he can be the best that he can be. And then maybe fight guys like that. And then maybe beat guys like that. And maybe who the hell knows how far he can go. That's all I'm saying.